Hello and welcome to BYJU'S IAS. Welcome to Daily Quiz. Let's look at question number 1. Which of the following statements with respect to the removal of the President of the United States of America is correct? What is the context? Joe Biden has been confirmed as the next President of the United States by the US Congress. But this was after a mob instigated by Donald Trump stormed the US Capitol. This violence shook the democratic traditions of the United States, and there were media reports that the vice president and the other officials they are considering removal of the president of the United States for the remainder of his term. Because Donald Trump's term ends January 20th. Because of this violence, many feared that the continuance of Donald Trump, even for the remaining days, poses a grave danger to the democracy. Now let's look at the question. In case of the removal of the president from office or of his death or resignation, the vice president shall become the acting president. No. The vice president shall become the president for the remainder of the term, not the acting president. When Indian president dies, vice president of India acts as the president of India till the time a new election is conducted and successor is elected. Statement number 2. Whenever there is a vacancy in the office of the vice president, the president shall nominate a vice president, correct, who shall take office upon confirmation by a majority vote of the Senate. Not only of the majority vote of the Senate, but majority vote of the House of Representatives as well. Statement number 3. The President of the United States can be removed only on the grounds of a violation of the Constitution. The President of India is impeached on the grounds of violation of the Constitution. The President of the United States is removed from his office on the grounds of treason, bribery, and high crimes and misdemeanors. The President of the United States of America can be impeached by the House of Representatives, which is the lower house of the US Congress. But even if the President is impeached, he can still continue to remain in office unless and until the upper house of the US Congress, which is the Senate, convicts the President. That is why, although Donald Trump was impeached by the House of Representatives, but he still continues to be the President of the United States because the Senate did not convict Donald Trump. Because the Senate was dominated by the grand old party, the Republicans, to which Donald Trump belongs. Statement D. If the Vice President and the majority of the principal officers of the executive departments they transmit to the presiding officers of the Congress that President is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, then in this case, the Vice President shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as the acting President for the remaining days till the successor is assuming the office on January 20, 2021. So statement D is the correct answer. To make it even simpler for you, long story short, the President of the United States is impeached by the House of Representatives, but he can still continue to remain in office unless and until the Senate convicts the President on the charges of treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. But even then, there is another alternative. If the Vice President and other members of the executive they feel that President is not in a position to discharge the powers and duties of his office, then what will happen? The 25th Amendment to the US Constitution can be triggered and Vice President shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as acting President. Now, question number 2, which of the following best describes citizenship? If you look at all these statements, you may say that all these statements appear correct, and it may also be possible. But the question is asking you which of the following best describes citizenship. Whenever you encounter such questions, please look at the options and see if there is an option which is basically a quote of an important political thinker. And if you're in a position to identify the quote of an important political thinker, then that quote is the answer to that question. And in this case, which of the following best describes citizenship? The answer is D. Citizenship is the right to have the rights. Why? Because this is the definition of citizenship given by political theorist Hannah Arendt. And this is today's Hindu newspaper, reading Hannah Arendt in Joe Biden's America. Now, you might think and assume that such questions may not be asked by the UPSC. But if you look at Prelims 2018 question, look at the question. Which one of the following reflects the most appropriate relationship between law and the liberty? And what is the answer? Identify the quote if you can. And once you have identified, you will come across, if there are no laws, there is no liberty. Why? Because this is the quote of John Locke. And this is the answer to this question. Let's look at question number 4 with respect to the food price index. It is a measure of the monthly change in international prices of a basket of food commodities. Yes, in this basket, 5 food commodities are included: cereals, oilseeds, dairy products, meat, and sugar. But this index is not arrived at by the World Food Program of the United Nations, but instead by FAO, which is Food and Agriculture Organization. And what is the question asking you? The question is asking you which of the following statements are incorrect. One is incorrect. So A, one only, is the right answer. What is the context? World Food Price Index rises for 7th straight month in December, according to FAO. Now let's look at another question, question number 5. Consider the following statements. A person shall be disqualified for being chosen as and for being a member of a panchayat if he is so disqualified by or under any order by governor. No, not by the governor, by the state legislature. That means state legislatures are empowered to prescribe additional disqualifications. Statement number 2, under Article 243D, the state legislatures are debarred from making any provision for reservation of seats in panchayats in favor of backward classes of citizens. It is mandatory for state legislatures that you will have to reserve seats in favor of SCs, in favor of STs, in favor of women. But so far as backward classes of citizens are concerned, it is an optional provision. That means the state legislatures may or may not reserve seats in favor of backward classes of citizens. But in no circumstance are the state legislatures debarred from making such reservation. So statement 2 is also incorrect. Statement number 3, all questions with respect to disqualifications of members of legislative assemblies, municipalities and panchayats are inquired into and decided by only high courts. So far as legislative assemblies are concerned, yes, election petitions can be filed only in the concerned high court. But so far as municipalities and panchayats are concerned, if any question arises that there is an election petition to be filed, such an election petition, state legislative assembly will decide in which authority this decision should be entrusted with. Statement number 4, more than half of the states have made provisions of 50% reservations for women in Panchayati Raj institutions in their respective state Panchayati Raj Acts. Yes, this is true. At least 20 states have made provisions of 50% reservation for women in Panchayati Raj institutions in their respective state Panchayati Raj Acts. Because what is the provision? 73rd Amendment, 74th Amendment says that not less than 1/3 seats shall be reserved for women. Not less than. That means we can reserve more than 1/3 as well. The context is this newspaper column. Congress leader points out gap in Haryana Panchayati Raj Act. Because this Haryana Panchayati Raj Act, it restricts women's reservation to 50%. Since women's reservation is restricted to 50%, the Congress leader says it goes against the Constitution. Because Constitution says not less than 1/3 of the seats shall be reserved for women. That means not less than 1/3. That means there is a minimum limit, 1/3. But there is no maximum limit. And if you're imposing maximum limit, which is 50%, it goes against the spirit of the constitution. That is what the Congress leader is alleging. Let's look at question number 6. Which of the following statements with respect to nutrition in India is correct? Statement A. National Council on India's Nutritional Challenges under the chairmanship of Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog has been constituted by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Not by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, but by the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Statement B. National Technical Board of Nutrition provides technical, responsive and evidence-based recommendations on the policy relevant issues in concerning nutrition for women and children. If you look at National Nutrition Mission, or what is known as Poshan Abhiyaan, it is Government of India's flagship program to improve the nutritional standards amongst women and children. In the year 2017, Niti Aayog was entrusted that now you have the responsibility that you monitor this Poshan Abhiyaan. In fact, it is the duty of Niti Aayog that you have to submit the reports of Poshan Abhiyaan every 6 months to the Prime Minister's office. Can be very important statement for your prelims examination. I repeat, Niti Aayog has the duty to submit implementation status reports of Poshan Abhiyaan every 6 months to the Prime Minister's office. That means who has been entrusted with the task of closely monitoring Poshan Abhiyaan? Not the Ministry of Women and Child Development, but then Niti Aayog. So only B is correct. What is the context? Key nutrition committees, they have failed to meet. 3 top committees, 1 National Nutrition Council, 2nd Executive Committee of the National Nutrition Mission, 3rd National Technical Board on Nutrition. These 3 committees have failed to meet even once since the COVID-19 pandemic broke out. Let's look at fact of the day, anti-defection law. Now we know the year was 1985 when 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act was passed. 10th schedule was added to the Constitution, and this 10th schedule deals with anti-defection law. That means a legislator can be disqualified on the grounds of defection. But once you are disqualified, let me give you an example. Let's say for example, here is an MP or an MLA. Normal term is 5 years. But if this individual MP or an MLA is disqualified under anti-defection law, let's say after a year, then what happens to this disqualified MP or an MLA? He can still contest elections and can come back to Legislative Assembly or Parliament and serve remaining 4 years. The proposal is that anti-defection law should be amended so that this MP or an MLA should be disqualified for the remainder of the term. That means right now the MP or an MLA is only disqualified, but he is free to contest elections again. When he is free to contest election again, that means this is one loophole in anti-defection law. To ensure that Ayaram Gayaram politics is put to an end once and for all, what we need to do, we need to amend anti-defection law so that a disqualified MP is unable to contest elections for the remainder of the term. And there is a case pending before the Supreme Court on this matter. The Supreme Court has sent a notice to the Centre as well as the Election Commission of India that please respond, because we have a petition before us. And this petition is saying that we should debar legislators from contesting by-elections during the rest of the tenure of the House. That is it from Daily Quiz segment. Thank you for being with us. Have a great day.